Welcome back, everybody, to the Anti-Store Racing IMSA series. We're back at Belle. It's been a while. Andy's going to love that one. Back at Belle, yeah, like I said, we raced here a couple of seasons ago, but it wasn't broadcast. So it's great to be back, and we'll catch some of the usual chaos you expect around the street circuit, especially around such a tight street circuit that we have here. It's tight and high speed. We've got the main run, which basically goes all the way from turn 12 at the end of the lap. And then there is sort of a high-speed chicane in the middle of that, but then all the way down to turn 3, and then we've got the back stretch as well. So plenty of overtaking opportunities if you've got a bit of a straight line to be an advantage, and you can tuck in the slipstream behind the car ahead. So we'll get to see that playing up. I think we'll see some of these GT3s hunting for a slipstream in qualifying. Brody's just asked me for a stream. He's now got one. We're joined by Brody Maynard, one of our GTP drivers for the first part of this qualifying. So he's going to be here for the GT3 session and some of the LMP2 session as well. Lots of GT3s out on track. Brody, I know you've not really driven here before. You just did a few laps in qualifying. What's the track like? How difficult is it out there around here?
It's about as what you'd expect from a bumpy street circuit. Obviously, we're famous for IndyCar. I feel like the GTPs still struggle quite a lot initially compared to what we've seen in previous races. You probably end up seeing Carlos Bozapoya probably end up leading at some point. But it's quite a fun track. From what I've seen, it looks like it's going to provide some quite close racing throughout a lot of the race.
Yeah, I think we're on for potentially a really good session here. Daniel Morphy, I believe, was first car out of the pit lane. No, he's not. He's on an outlap. I'm talking rubbish. Car number 96, Alex Art, is going to be our first driver to try and set a lap time. And this is on the way down to turn 3 on his first flyer, and he's still looking for tyre temperature. So it's only 20 degrees out there, track surface temperature, so it is quite chilly. And I think it will take a couple of laps, even in the GT3s, from the up to temperature. That is going to be a talking point. Of course, when we get onto our GTP session. Let's watch Alex now through this. This is a sort of turn 4-5 section. We've already got a car off of Leon Erger, who's found the barrier on the exit of turn 3, and I think that's going to be a running theme. We saw that quite a lot in practice. We will go and take a look at that if we can find it, but we are going to focus on Alex Ott, who is setting purples. He is, of course, the first car to go through a lot of these sectors, but his purple sector 1 has held. Callum Lux has beat him in sector 2, and Jeffrey Ross has beaten him in sector 3. This is the kind of track where we would expect the Mustang, I think, to be strong. Will help to be able to ride some of these curves a little bit more. But the Mustang, of course, has been strong everywhere this season.
Yeah, it's definitely been one of them cars that just keeps on dominating. A bit like the Cadillac a few seasons ago, where we saw pretty much nearly every driver towards the end of season 9 jump in that car, or the Ferrari. But yeah, this Mustang is just absolutely it's just a power horse.
It's so good, and it's also one of the more, I don't want to say easier cars to drive, but it's one of the more compliant cars and a lot more predictable than some of the other cars, which just means you're able to be closer to the limit, pushing as much as you can for much more of the lap, which always really, really helps. Callum Lux has gone to the top though, so it's clearly not all Mustang dominated out there. The Aston Martin, of course, very strong this season as well. We've got our tyre graphic up. We certainly don't need that. That is up from last time, so we're going to go and chuck up some manufacturers so you can see what everyone is driving, and we're going to show you the gap to provisional pole position, which at the moment is a 1:27.977.
saw a couple of Porsches running around. I did wonder if they'd be quite quick with how many 90-degree corners there are here. Obviously, the balance different compared to the Mustang or the Mercedes, for example, where the engine's right at the front, a bit more front heavy.
Ivan Veska's been off track and has then gone really off track to try and avoid impeding anybody. That was all a bit of a mess. Trying to find what happened to Leon Erger, and that is this incident. He's actually been noted by Race Control for using his voice chat. So he clobbered too much curb for his Aston Martin, to handle, and went for a spin. And I'm not sure why he came onto voice chat, but he did. Alex Ott still at the top, but Alex Ott has gone to the top, but has been quickly dethroned by Callum Lux, who just took 2 and a bit seconds out of his previous lap. So that was a mega improvement that time by for Callum Lux, who went from a 20, not 2 seconds, I'm completely silly, a 27.9 down to a 27.1, so the best part of a second out of his lap. And I think we may see somebody dip into the 26s by the end of this session, because his tyre time is clearly coming up as Jeffrey Ross scrapes a wall. So he currently sits in P3. Look at that. In manufacturers, we've got an Aston, a Ford, a Porsche, a Mercedes, and a Ferrari in the top 5. 5 manufacturers in the top 5. Let's just get a Beamer up there, the Mustang, the Sol Lamborghini, and our Sol McLaren up there, and we'll get a right mix. Great to see so many cars at the top.
Yeah, absolutely. But you can just tell from that, like I said before, you are just going to have a good race today between the GT3s. Quite close as well, considering the Pro and Am splits. I'm not seeing too much of disparity. Obviously, you've got that half a second between Vincent van der Millbrook, Kevin Versampfort, and obviously up to P5, Daniel Walker up to P6. Morpy a bit slower than what we'd normally see.
No, we're doing what we asked for and putting a BMW up at the top. But yeah, Daniel Morpy, we'd normally expect him to be a little bit closer. So maybe, I think he went out of the pit lane 1 lap later than everyone else, so maybe just needing a little bit more time to get into his rhythm. Leon Erger flashing his lights at the Lamborghini ahead because he wants to come through. But that doesn't quite work in qualifying, unfortunately. Albert Preem goes up to P6. Lots of green out there at the moment. Leon Erger sets a 27.8 to put him back up towards the top. Pete Preens improves, but only to P16 in the McLaren. Oh, we've got a spinner ahead, and that's the Lamborghini of Ivan Veska, who has gone right round.
Just noticed there as well, Daniel Morpy, purple middle sector, sector 3.
Well, I don't want to jump any guns here and say what I think has happened, but the car that was flashing his lights and the car that he was flashing the mat seem to have had a coming together, and that's exactly what's happened.
Yeah.
Declared a racing incident by Race Control already, but this is the onboard. And Leon Erger just went a little, not Leon Erger, Ivan Veska went a little bit deep, tried to carry the speed and just tagged the wall, and it bounced him out into Leon, unfortunately, for those 2 drivers. Good lap there from Daniel Morpy. That's more like it, Brody. As you were saying,
there we go.
About what we'd expect. It was 2 purples and 3 greens on his way to the second row of the grid, and Callum Lux and Alex Ott are dueling it out at the top. And he goes 1 millisecond quicker than his previous lap for Callum Lux. So that is it's all just bouncing around. I don't know why. That said 18 milliseconds a moment ago. Now it says 19. We'll see where that settles towards the end of the session. But those 2 still going at it and trying to dethrone each other. Both of them losing time this time round in Sector 1. But green in Sector 2 for Alex Ott. Callum Lux is due through there any moment now, so we can get a better read. And then Callum Lux not finding any time as Oystein Hereford moves up to P3. Look how tight it is at the top. Less than 3/4 of a tenth of a second cover the top 3. Sartor on the radio briefly, but I don't think he said anything, so just clearly caught the button. Alex Ott finding time in the middle sector though. Daniel Morpy's had a good opening to this lap and not a great middle phase, so let's see how much speed he can carry through these final few corners on his run down to the line. It's flat out now. You want to minimise the distance to the line if you can, unless you're going for another consecutive flyer. Comes to the line. And what is it going to be with Daniel Morpy? No improvement, unfortunately, for him. I think Alex Ott is looking for improvement here because despite a poor opening to the lap, he's found some real pace in the second half, and it is an improvement of 4/10, but the lap was invalidated, so that is not going to count, which is why that time has not come down. Vincent Ossoms, by the way, purple in Sector 3, who we're watching now in the Red Eagle Mercedes, getting a distant tow perhaps from the Aston Martin ahead, but we'll be looking for some time. I'm not sure how yellow those yellows are, and let's see what it is across the line for Vincent Ossoms. It's no improvement. But Leon Erger finds some serious time to go up to P3.
Wow. Yeah, you can see already Oyston Hereford to
Oyston Hereford to the top. No purples, just greens all around for Oyston to go to the top in the Ferrari. What a lap. Callum Lux was improving, but looks to have found the barrier. Leon Erger's improving as well.
Wow, that must have been a really, really nice, tidy lap from Oyston Hereford there. It's so easy to make mistakes around here. Obviously, street circuits, see Callum Lux just...
Over the curb, lost the road.
Yeah.
The Aston, very easy to do in that car. You tag too much curb with too much throttle on, unfortunately. Albert Preem.
I was just going to say another thing with these American street circuits. Quite a lot of the surface is concrete, biased to tarmac, so it's very easy for the car to lose grip, slide. As I've seen quite a few times here with these drivers, these replays.
Yeah, those concrete slabs are nothing like driving on tarmac, are they? Anybody that's driven at Sebring will know, as soon as you transfer from the tarmac to the concrete, the grip level just changes drastically. Also doesn't heat up in the same way, which doesn't help with the track temperature because, like we said, it is pretty chilly out there on track at the moment. Only actually about a degree quicker as Leon Erger goes to the top, just after Vincent Ossoms does. So serious pace being found at the end of this session. Oyston Hereford can't improve, unfortunately. Stays P3. Alex Ott, Callum Lux are both improving now. We've got some purples on the board for those two, so yeah. No, sorry, Callum Lux is in the pit lane, but this is Alex Ott, who does have potential to potentially go to the top. Keep your eye on Ivan Veska as well.
I was going to say, if any of these fast guys are on the track at the last minute, completing one more lap at the last second, there's going to be purples. It's going to be fast. The track's really ramping up at the moment.
Daniel Morpy's even found a purple sector, yeah.
So he's across the line. What's his lap time?
Morpy stays P6. I think it was invalidated, unfortunately, because it was an improvement, and it would have been enough to put him onto the second row. And it's a purple lap for Alex Ott, enough to put him onto pole position by just under 3/10. Wow, what a lap there for Alex Ott as LMP2 green flag is given. Leon still continuing with this lap, but the sector times aren't looking too promising as he's really pushing it here.
Luca Picardi could jump up a couple positions here as well with this lap. A few greens. There, go across the line. As expected, no improvement. Luca Picardi, though.
Does improve, P9.
Nice, yeah, 5 positions.
Can't complain of that at all for the closing of the lap. Now, bad news for LMP2 is we've only got 2 cars on track. The good news when it comes to LMP2 is, well, the interesting news when it comes to LMP2 is that Carlos Bozapoya seems to sorry, I'm just reading a message from our race director. Carlos Bozapoya seems to be on pace with some of our GTPs. So that is going to be really interesting to see. Obviously, that won't affect his qualifying position when it comes to his GTPs, because the classes will grid separately. But it could affect where he finishes in the race and potentially has the pace to fight for an overall podium.
Yeah, the only problem with the GTPs at the moment is the tyre model. Obviously, it's more true to life, but again, as we talked with
even then, based off what some of the actual GTP drivers have said, having driven in iRacing, it's not super accurate. It's got less grip now than they should. I know that the cars had more grip than they should before, But I think iRacing doing some work, especially with the new Michelin tyres set to be introduced into that class next year. iRacing doing the work to try and get the class a little bit more accurate to real life with those new tyres, which is going to be great to see. But like I say, Brody, it is a problem now in this for these drivers today, because they're going to have to deal with cold tyres, and they're going to have some hungry LMP2s who aren't that much slower around a lot of the track here, who won't have to deal with quite such cold tyre issues. They will still have cold tyre issues to deal with, but it's nowhere near the same as what is in the GCP class.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we're going to see a lot of carnage, I think. The tracks, it's narrow, but wide enough that cars can go side to side. But like through this section here, there is only really one line. And then coming through turns 13, 14 as well, there is only really one fast line. So if anyone is going to make a move, it is going to be ballsy.
Boyer sets the benchmark time of the two of them for 23.260. What can Ben Groeneveld do across the line? And I believe it's about a 25.8, and it is. And that is not a bad time for Groeneveld, especially these two just warming up. Nothing really matters right now.
No, definitely not. I mean, you think as well, consider the I-rating deficit between Carlos and Ben. Carlos running at 8K, I think it was. I'm not too sure what
I think it's about that. But Carlos running at, like you say, just over 8K. Ben Groeneveld at 1700, so even to be that close is pretty impressive. I would be happy to be that close to Carlos, to be honest. Just been told by race control that the number 30 car, so that is Luca Picardi, who jumped up 5 spots at the end, crossed the line with less than a second to go to start his final lap. So it just shows you how much he was looking for the best track conditions. As Poya is improving, we're going to go on board next lap for a full lap with Carlos Boza Poya.
I think we were quite kind with the gap. I think that's going to get absolutely decimated now.
Yeah, let's see what Carlos does this lap, and then we're going to cut to on board.
We might validate that.
Carlos has already crossed the start finish line. I was looking at them the wrong way around. Down. This is a run into turn 3. A 90-degree right-hander, heavy braking zone. We saw some lock-up issues in practice, not just for you, Brody, other cars as well. Now into turn 4, another 90-degree right-hander, but a little bit more open at the apex. Now right-hander again, left-hander 90 degrees this time, into what I believe is turn 5. Scrapes the barrier on the outside of Carlos Bozapoya, and no improvement in the second sector, despite going purple in sector 1. Ben Groeneveld a lot closer there after that lap. Just under a second away. That'll be pretty nice for Ben to see. He's back into the pit lane to start a new fresh run and get some new rubber on the tyres. Carlos has elected not to do that, at least not this time by. Now through the fountain section, you can't see it, it's just off to the left. Scrapes the wall again on the outside for Carlos, who is absolutely pushing the limits here. Now right-hander, this is the last sort of super tight corner. It's almost a hairpin actually when you look at it from the track map. And then we've just got the right-hander here, and then the right-hander of turn 13, which is here, which is sort of a little bit of a lift, and you can see the rear end getting loose, but it's purples again for Carlos, who's going to run to the line now to start another lap. But does he improve? Yes, he does. It's a 21.195 to go 3 seconds clear of Ben Groeneveld. Carlos finding serious time out there.
Yeah, absolutely. You can tell the track evolution is really coming towards the drivers now. I think Carlos did a 2-second improvement just that lap, and I reckon, another purple in the first sector, so he's going to be absolutely flying at the moment.
Track temperature has come up about 0.5 degrees as well, which will be helping. Right, this is Ben starting his flying lap, and he loses the rear end into turn 1 and clobbers the barrier. That is a risky take in resetting for fresh tyres that are going to be colder and have less grip, and Carlos will be pleased to see that, unfortunately for his rival, but he'll be happy to have a bit more breathing room. These barriers are going to be an issue in the race, I think. Don't be surprised if we see our first safety car in several years, although I do find myself to keep saying that and it never coming true. But don't be too shocked if we have to have a full course yellow in this one, especially on lap 1. Brody, try your best to keep it clean with the rest of them.
I'll do my best. I mean, I'm just going to say then, I wonder if I just slip Andy a fiver. Maybe he'll actually press the button.
Yeah,
once.
maybe. I think the main reason he doesn't do it is because he doesn't want to deal with unlapping and class sorting and all this. So, scrape at the barrier again for Carlos. He's really, really pushing the limits out here. This is going to be something to watch in the race because Carlos was pushing the limits a lot, if you remember, in Silverstone, and that's actually how he didn't win the last race, despite coming across the line in first place after a spin from Sebastian. It meant he lost all the time that he had gained on his strategy and being on the right tyres at the right time, etc. But Carlos was able to come across the line in first after that, but went off track in the final corner, taking a slowdown, which caused him to take a post-race drive-through penalty because he didn't clear it before he crossed the line, which promoted Sebastian to the win. And Carlos was incredibly close to a drive-through on incident points at the end of that race as well. So he needs to make sure he doesn't... I mean, he's not picking up incident points, so he scrapes with the barrier at the moment. But he can't afford to be doing this when he's coming through traffic at all. Right, Ben Groneveld having another go at it. Run down into turn 3. About 8 tenths off of Carlos Bozapoya in just sector 1, unfortunately for Ben, who's just out there trying to get a sighter in on these new tyres before he can get one proper run in at the end of this session. I think we're nearing our 2-minute warning from race control. Carlos, no improvement on that last lap. It's 4 seconds down on his previous best. Perhaps the best of the tyres gone for the Spaniard.
Looks neat and tidy so far from Ben.
That's going to be key in the race. Ben knows if he can't win this one on pace, he can certainly win it on luck and on skill of keeping it out of the wall. You know, anybody that's driven a street track or even on an oval will know you can afford a few scrapes with the wall, but the more and more you float with it, eventually it's going to bite, and it's going to bite you bad, and you're going to end up in the pit lane with a broken toe link or, you know, aero damage that's costing you time down the straights. So being tidy in this one is going to be absolutely crucial. A 24.8 for Ben Groneveld that time by does not beat his previous best, but he will continue on this lap to try and get a better one. Carlos Bozapoya returns to the pit lane, and he is rolling. So I'm not sure. Come to a stop now. He's reset back in the car. Still stationary in pit lane though, so that might be session done for Carlos, perhaps. Let's see.
I think he knows he doesn't need to push too much, because there's only himself and Ben racing in this class today.
Absolutely. There's not really any reason to take. Might just be nice for him to get a sighter in on the race setup, perhaps he might do that, but he has now gotten out of the car, it looks like. So we'll see Ben Groneveld pushing on in a nice yellow DLR livery. Not often we see this combination. I do like it. Well, I suppose
it really,
yellow
yeah.
or gold. It's slightly too light for a gold, I think, but it looks good. Remember back when they all used to be orange? Very difficult for any of us to tell what was going on.
Yes, definitely.
No improvement again for Ben, but looks like the tyres have come towards him a little bit now in that final sector. He's finding time, finding improvement. He'll be pretty happy with some of the sector times he's put in. That last lap, pretty close to what the last lap of Carlos was, actually. That's checkered flag for LMP2.
Right, in that case, I'll head down to the pits and get ready.
Yeah, good luck, Brady.
Just keep it on track.
Do your best. If you do find yourself in the wall, there's always a space in here for you.
I'm 99% certain I'll be back here very shortly.
Okay, good luck. Well, we hope not, or do we? Right. Ben Groneveld pushing on for his final lap. That was the checkered flag in LMP2. That means we're going to get our GTPs out on track soon. As you would expect, they're already queuing up in the pit lane, as we're very much used to at this point. Through the fountain section for Ben for one final time before he goes to the race session. Finding lots of time, just being told by race controller, 3 wide in the pit lane. So we'll go and take a look after Ben crosses line, because this will be checkered flag in LMP2. It's yellow, green, green, green. And what is it going to be in Sector 5 for the number 95 of Ben Groneveld? GTP's been given green flag. Ben to the line. It is improvement. It's a 23.857. Takes a big chunk out of that lead. And now our GTPs are rolling down towards turn 3. We had a good fight in GTP last time in the very, very wet Silverstone. It'll be great to see what's going to happen around here. I don't think you can get much different from a track. Silverstone, obviously. Still a high downforce track, but a very high speed high downforce track. Very open, no barriers nearby, take a little bit more risk, carry a bit more speed. Around here it's all about precision. Still high downforce for a lot of these corners. Well, as high downforce as you can get in a GTP car. But no rain, crucially. And then the next biggest difference, perhaps one of the biggest differences between the two tracks, is the track surface. Around here we've got this concrete surface that, as Brodie Maynard said, does not provide an awful lot of grip at all for these guys, and it does make it really, really difficult to get any temperature into the tyres because there's not really anywhere where you're putting a lot of energy through them where you're not risking being in the wall. So you might see a lap or so longer than usual to get some temperature into the tyres, and we've already had a couple of spinners. What has happened here? Mark Frederick picked up a 2x on his outlap. Just too much of the curb, but kept it out the barrier. And looks to have carried on. Yes, he has. And Brodie Maynard, is it something similar for our co-commentator? No, loses the rear end there as he gets on power. Slides out and tags the barrier. He'll continue on from the pit lane. Davy van der Wacker finding time, as is everybody, as the tyres begin to warm up and get towards a more sensible temperature window to actually run anywhere near what these cars are capable of. Scrape against the barrier for Davy van der Wacker then. Federico Sarter's had a moment as well. We'll just watch Davy on the run to the line. So much more grip through there than we saw in either of the other classes, as you would expect. This is what happened to Federico. Oh, just too much speed in. And clobbers the front left corner of the car, but actually seems to have carried on somehow. That was the aero damage. Oh no, just pulled over to reset then. Oh, big hit into the wall for Sarter. And currently, none of our drivers have gone quicker than our LMP2 pole sitter, Carlos Bozapoya. I'm sure that will change as we start to get towards a little bit more temperature. Davide Aceto is finding that time, as is Quinton Verdonk. As is Davy van der Wacker. 3 purples for 3 of our top 4 on the screen at the moment. Andy, I can see that Fox is typing in the chat if you want to try and convince him to join me. Right, sorry about that. Just carrying on. Just trying to multitask here. Don't have Alice with me this week to provide some backup while I read through the messages and try and work out what's going on in the race control room and in our driver chats. Davide Aceto to the top at the moment in the Porsche ahead of the 2 BMWs. But Davy van der Wacker finding serious time in P3. These guys still have not dethroned Carlos at the top. Just half a second sits between them and him now, so I think we will get there by the end of the session. That just shows you the pace of the LMP2 class at the moment. Let's go on board for the remainder of this lap. That is not on board. That is the wrong one. This is the one we want. This gyrocam will show you just how bumpy it is as well. You have a traction control cutting in briefly. Downshifts for turn 13. Now on the run into 14. To the line for David van der Backer, who is purple, 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 to go to P1, a 1:20.283, and has now beaten the LMP2 behind him. Raymond Neat improves in P3, but still Davey, the only driver to have beaten the LMP2 so far. Brody Maynard in the anti-stall racing Porsche to the line, finding time. Never driven a lap round here until about 25, well, just before qualifying actually, so about 35, 40 minutes ago. Never driven a lap round here, only knew it from IndyCar onboards. Davey improving once again. Scrape against the wall that time as Davey's gone quicker at the front. Quinton now also gets ahead of Poya in the LMP2. Brody Maynard to the line, no improvement this time by, unfortunately. Well, it was an improvement, but will not count because it was an off-track included. Sarta goes up to P5 momentarily to be quickly dethroned by Mark Frederick. Quinton Verdonk improving. We'll try and go to the top in the Porsche. As the sun is still coming out now and the temperature continues to rise. No rain forecasted for the race, of course. We chose a nice sunny day. Didn't want rain around the track like this. Quinton, though, looking quick in Sector 3 and Sector 4. Raymond Denis looking quick in Sector 1 as well, so don't count him out. Doesn't need much from Quinton. It's not quite enough, just 700ths off of pole position. We'll continue to push on this lap and try and find a little bit more. Brody Maynard down in P7, improving again as he continues to get his eye in around the track he's never driven before. Federico Sarta improves up to P3. Nice job in the Cadillac around here. The man who was spinning out a couple of times at the start of his session has found the groove. Quinton Verdonk in finding time, as is Raymond Denis, is absolutely flying out there right now. We're going to follow the BMW around because he's got two purples at the moment and has taken both of them away from the front row drivers during this lap who'd also set purples. He's gone and beaten them. What can he do in Sector 4? Because his Sector 1 was also pretty competitive. There's definitely potential here for Denis to go to the front row, if not to pole position. Quinton Verdonk goes to the top. Raymond Denit crosses a line, improves, but it's not enough for pole position in the end for Denit. Davide Cesso still running out there. Maynard stays P7, but does improve. Again, invalidated, but it was an improvement. He continues to work out the extents at which he can push the track limits. Quinton Verdonk out front, finding more time. Purple in sector 1, but struggling in the next 2. Davide Cesso, lots of greens, and it's enough greens for P1. Wow, that came out of nowhere for Davide Cesso to go to the top as the checkered flag comes out. Mega job there from Davide. Did not see that one coming at all, just consistently good around the whole lap. And it's enough to go to the top, and he's still going to get one more go at it if he wants. Rodrigo Sarta will be the first driver to take the checkered flag on track. Brody Maynard has stopped towards the end of the lap and towed to the pit lane. Rodrigo Sarta across the line. No improvement for him, unfortunately. Davy van der Wacker will be next, who was on pole at one point. Currently sits P3, and this lap is not going to be enough to put him to the top if it continues this way. He's going to need something mega as the rear end steps out, coming around the fountain section. Run now to the line, just one corner to go. Carry as much speed as you can through here is crucial. The car on the limit through there for Davey, so clearly thinks there's a little bit of time to be gained. No, there's not. Bales into the pit lane to practice a live stop. And work out who we still got out running on track, and it's Davide Cesso, who also comes to the pit lane, but will start from pole position. And now we'll run into the pit lane and prepare to start a race. We've got a 5-minute warm-up to come. Brody Maynard has also set our provisional and still racing team record around Belle with that lap. Just shows you how much the rest of us have driven around here in the Porsche 963. All cars qualified within 105% is the word from race control. Tony Mania has said he's not taking part in today's race because, quite frankly, he doesn't feel comfortable driving around here and doesn't want to risk a crash, and that is perfectly understandable. I could say the same for myself if I was driving around here. Brody Maynard checking with Andy that he made it, and he did. That's the first pole position for Davide Cesso, and let's watch the chaos unfold as we have got cars out on track. This is about the time that me and Alice would normally run you through the standings. So it's not going to be a two-person job this time, but I will run you quickly through who leads in each class once my Firefox decides to load. And in GT3 AM, might not surprise you to hear that Ivan Veska leads the championship. 4th result in Silverstone, but that has become his drop round. So 3 very strong point scoring rounds before that, really helping him out. So currently sits ahead by 104 points. Over Luca Picardi and Patrick Stanek, just another 4 points behind that. Very close, to be honest, all the way down to P6. Very competitive in GT3 AM.
Right. As a reminder, we asked the pole sitter in GT3 and LMP2 to leave between a 10 and 15-second gap to the class ahead. We asked that the pole sitter in every class activate the pit limiter from the exit of turn 13, that is the last corner before the start zone, until you go within the start zone.
Okay,
And
I
we
think...
asked for
Okay.
sorry, I said that. No, sorry, apologies. Good luck. Have a nice race.
There we go. He shut up, finally. And despite a big pause in the middle, he just then decided he was done anyway. So, yeah, those top 5 in top 6 actually really with Pete Breen's incredibly close in GT3 Am, so nobody can afford a bad race really. It'll be interesting to see what happens with those guys. GT3 Pro, Daniel Morphy, your championship leader. He'll be pleased to hear that. And with a decent drop round to spare as well, which is Sebring 256 points. Jeffrey Ross is 28 points behind him, but has had a 0 points round at Hockenheim drop round, so can't afford a bad race at all. Vincent Ossoms is then just behind in 3rd place with a much better drop round. Then Kevin Versanvort, Dave Van Eck, Leon Erger, Raphael Heck, Alessandro Vici, Nicoli Monti and Oysten Herford make up your top 10. Still very open with 4 rounds to go, including today. LMP2 is led by Carlos Boza Poya, ahead of Sebastian van der Heuvel. So essentially that points gap will probably not change much actually if Carlos Boza Poya wins today. Because Sebastian's drop round will become so it will change a little bit, but Sebastian's drop round will essentially become today's race of 0 points. Worth bearing in mind. GTP, Davy van der Wacker leads the championship, 1,102 points. Sorry, 1,112 points ahead of Quinten Verdonk on 1,085. Dave van der Wacker has taken a 0 points drop round though in Imola. We talk about it all the time. That is a big penalty almost to carry through the rest of the season. Cannot take the same level of risk as the rest of the drivers, and he's back.
Need a safety car. First of all, follow the instructions that it says in game on your screen, unless someone from race control tells you otherwise. Aside from that, we cannot see from our side, for example, how many laps are left before the safety car will come in. So we might need people to, or we might need someone to tell us during that. If we need that, we will ask someone. But just so everyone is aware how it goes. So unless we tell you otherwise, listen to what the game tells you to do and follow the safety car and follow the yellow flag. If they call it at all.
Okay, I think he's done again. That 0 point drop round really just means you can't take any risks for the rest of the season. You've got to turn up and you've got to score good points. Quinten Verdonk then, as we said, in 2nd place and 40 points behind him is Raymond Denis. Davide Oceto in P4 ahead of Frederick, Reed, Sarter, Glenn Grondeles, Brody Maynard, Emre Cabaldar and Tony Maynard to take part in the race, having recently joined the series. And that is our standings done for the day. We'll see what happens in today's race. I imagine we'll see a few surprises and perhaps a few catastrophes as well. It's been a long time since Andy briefed on safety car procedure. See why he felt like he had to do that. The main risk that I can see is our GTP drivers on cold tyres on lap 1 getting a little bit of... what's a nice way of saying this? Our GCP drivers on lap 1 getting a little bit ambitious, perhaps into turn 1 and turn 3, turn 4, maybe even turn 5. I guess we'll see. Fountain section's also going to be a bit of a risk. We've got a short formation lap around here. Not sure what LMP2's doing. I don't know if they're going to try and hang on to the back. I think Andy will probably want them to keep their gap to GTP. We are gridding up here, getting ready to go. Just a couple of cars left to join us on the grid. We get ready to go racing around Belle Isle. And I'll say it again for the first time in a while. Only because Andy did not find that particularly funny when I said it earlier on today. Pull up the chat, so I'll put that open at the moment. We're nearly all gridded, just missing Mark Frederick. Tony Mania, who's obviously not taking part, so just depending on one car. Sebastian says, easy P2 for Ben. And yeah, it's looking like it, isn't it, Seb? You better get back here. Can't afford another one missed after today. Good luck to race control. I think you're going to need it. Just 2 cars in LMP2 might make your jobs a little bit easier. Right, approaching turn 12. Leader will back off and let the safety car come in shortly. Into Verdonk starts in 2nd place. Davide Cheto on pole position, of course, as we discussed. Some aggressive tyre warming going on. The leader will put on the pit limiter.
Green flag, green flag.
And we are green, and he's gone. Oh, and he's in the wall already. The leader's crashed. Big wreck for the leader.
Yeah, I need to start.
As he put his foot down, we need a safety car, I think.
Please check.
Over there, Cheto stationary. LMP2 coming through. Not had a safety car yet. Have they cleared by the time LMP2 gets there? Yes, they have, fortunately. As Carlos Vizapoya clears into turn 1, that's what we'd expected. So Quinton Verdonk will lead. Federico Sartre in P2 and Brody Maynard up to P3 after that. And it's bad news for all of the cars behind. It's meatballs. They'll be able to tow and take a fast repair. But yeah, they're going to have to essentially have made an extra stop in this one, which is not ideal for them at all. So we're going green in GT3 down into turn 1 with 3 wide briefly on the entry. 2 wide through turn 1 behind as well. As we've got a car coming out the pit lane having completed its tow. That's Mark Frederick trying to navigate through this traffic. It's going to be difficult for him to do with 3 wide at the back here as well. With a GTP, that's always what we want to see. The Porsche coming up the inside. Oh, and we've got a spinner and contact made. But looks like everybody's mostly gotten away with that one somehow. It's another incident under investigation by race control. Raymond Denis and David van der Backer, by the way, have elected to carry on and try and get their cars back to the pit lane rather than to tow. That has put Carlos Bozapoya up into P4 overall, by the way, and Ben Groneveld into P5 overall. So keep an eye on that. Federico Sartre has taken the lead, by the way. We missed that one. Apologies. Not sure what's happened there. This is how he took the lead. Just a good run down the back straight into the fountain section. Late on the brakes, which you can do in the Cadillac on the inside. Hooks it up nicely, gets over the curb and takes the lead of the race on lap 1. Where his teammates spun out on the start. Mark Frederick, who's rejoined the race, I think has had a moment here. Through the fountain section, what's going to go wrong? Is it on power? No, seemingly. I'm not sure what the issue is going to be here. Oh no! Big wreck for Frederick, who has already used his fast repair, I believe. It's going to be day over for him, unfortunately. And Raymond Denis is off as well. I'm not sure what's happened there. I'm trying to catch up with him. There he is, in the runoff. Pure chaos around here. We've now just got 3 GTPs at the top now. Alex Ott still leads the race ahead of Leon Erger. Carlos Bozapoya does not lead overall, by the way. That is what happens when he sets a faster lap time than the GTP leaders have done, which is done by just about a tenth of a second. Does not lead overall at the moment, but he's catching the leaders as they run. David van der Backer, having completed that fast repair, taking his way through the GT3 traffic, as is Raymond Denis, as is Davide Aceto, our pole sitter. Poya setting purple sectors as he goes quicker than our race leaders. Federico Sarta not pulling away here at all. Brady Maynard a little bit off the pace behind, but like we said, he's just getting an iron. This would be a brilliant start for him, really, all things considered. He's 50 seconds ahead of David van der Wacker. He's got to make it through a lot of traffic. Federico Sarta moves his class back up to the top with that lap time, as is Quinton Verdonga just quicker than him behind. Why is LMP2 above the GTP and Tower? Andy, I just explained it if you were listening. That's a question from Andy, our race director. It is because Carlos Bozapoya had a faster lap time at that point than those cars, which he's just done again. So I think they're probably going to swap round. Yes, they are. And Carlos Bozapoya says a faster lap time than GTPs as that gap to the lead continues to come down for Carlos. Approaching the back of the GT3s already for our race leaders. This is going to make it really, really difficult here. Federico needs to make his way through quickly, but can't afford too much risk. Seen it go wrong for people racing their own class or just driving on their own today. Now they'll both get Ivan Veska here, which is crucial. Luca Vicardi, by the way, leads by 8 seconds in GT3 AM, having started amongst the pros. As they swap positions again, Quinton Verdonk now all over the back here of Federico Sarta, and I think may have a go. No, because he's carried just too much speed at the apex of turn 2, and that's pushed him out wide a little bit, and he's not been able to carry the speed down into turn 3. But they're approaching more traffic here. The opportunities are opening up. He was faster last time round by 3 tenths than Federico Sarta. He's now 3 tenths behind, and Andy will be pleased because Carlos Bozapoya has not been able to go quicker than them that last time round. Quinton Verdonk cannot clear the GT3 at the same time as his rival, and that is going to cost him here. He's going to try and find a gap down the inside, but it's so difficult through this section to overtake anybody. David van der Wacker sets the fastest lap time of the race. He tries to hunt his way back towards the podium positions. Kevin Basanville, the latest car to be passed by Davide Aceto on his recovery drive. Daniel Morphy, Jeffrey Ross, Moisen Herford all in close quarters here. Federico Sarta crucially been able to keep some cars between him and his rival for most of the last lap now. And second time penalty for Heck for causing a collision on lap 1. Quinton finally is able to put his foot down in pursuit of the Cadillac ahead. Now got clean air in front of him. See how long that lasts, and I think it, crucially for Quinton, this is going to be an opportunity for him to catch up some of the time that he's just lost, as the car in front is also stuck behind traffic now. It's a lap again for David van der Wacker, 24. Oh, and alongside the GT3s ahead, that's risky stuff from Sarta. And was there even contact there? It looked like there might have been slight contact, and the cars in front are side by side, and that's allowed the Porsche to get through on the Mustang behind. The way the leader came through, and the leader will be feeling under threat here because Quinton Verdonk is mega through turn 1. And they're approaching the main grunt of the pack now in GT3. The packed up cars are not that far ahead at all. And this is going to get interesting. Carlos Bozapoya sets the fastest lap of the race. I think we're going to see a timing tower swap in a moment. Or perhaps not. It might have fixed itself. I think it has fixed itself. That was just a fastest lap in LMP2, sorry, that's why it's showing up funny on the timing tower. Crucially for Quinton, he clears the Mercedes. Side by side, as Palcio clears Tiemann Scholten. I think he must have had a small issue. Quinton really close here to the car in front. Remember, these guys fighting each other for the win, but can't afford a slip up when they've been handed a real opportunity here with lots of others struggling. And Brody Maynard down just 9 seconds behind them will be sort of grinning, seeing how much these two are going at it in these early stages, especially around all this traffic. It's a real opportunity for them to have just a small mistake, but with big consequences that can help Maynard out so much. Ricciardi, new fastest lap of the race in GT3 continues to clear. Now Quinton Verdonk will have lost out a little bit there, but also did Sata as he had to clear the Porsche ahead. He's still absolutely rapid, by the way, down in P4. He's taken 2 seconds out of these guys in the last lap, but he is 40 seconds behind, so he's going to need 20 laps to catch up to them and probably, you know, well, let's see where he is with pit stops and stuff, but he can also take less risk because he's used his fast repair already. So we'll see if he's able to catch up, and actually it's 50 seconds behind, isn't it? So it's going to be a real challenge for him to catch up before the end of the race, but there's always potential out there. It is getting dark here. I don't believe we're due any rain. Quinton lost a lot of time through there. Remember, the traffic can go both ways. It'll help you out one lap and it'll punish you the next. It's punishing the leader right now. But Quinton, I don't think he's going to clear this Aston Martin before turn 1, and he's not. He's going to have to play this tactically. He can back off a little bit early and get his foot down to try and gain. And crucially for him, Sata was also held up in turn 2. Can Quinton clear this Mercedes before turn 3? Yes, he can. And that is a big move for him in this fight for the lead. Is he able to follow Sata through ahead? No, he's not. Verdonk will have to sit behind the GT3 here. It's Leon Erger currently running in P2, so we're nearly through this traffic now. Quinton clears him on the exit though, and he's still only 7 tenths behind. After this, they're going to get a clear run for maybe a lap or so once they clear our race leader, Alex Ott, before we start to catch some of the lapped traffic. And it's just one car, and then it'll be a big gap ahead of that. So our race leader, Alex Ott there in the purple or pink and black DLR car, and he's going to hold up the race leader here, overall race leader, who does clear in before turn 14. Quinton Verdonk will clear in before turn 1, crucially, and is back within half a second and can keep piling the pressure on as he did in the early stages of his race. And it was a good run there through turn 2 for Quinton, nice and tidy, but the Porsche just doesn't have the grunt on the exit that the Cadillac seems to have around here. Callum Lux harassing Vincent Ossoms, trying to get back onto the podium once again. Seems to get onto the podium and not have much luck going any further forward this season, Callum Lux, unfortunately for him. But he's going to keep piling the pressure on and do what he can. Quinton Verdonk keeping the pressure on as the traffic gives him a better run through the final corner than his rival ahead. Now he needs to be smart through here if he wants to try and make a move into turn 3. Keeps it nice and tidy. It's a little bit wide. Oh, it's a little bit wide, and it is a bit wide for Sata ahead. But Verdonk had to get out of it. He nearly ran into the back of the car behind. Brody Maynard has had a moment. I'm not sure what's happened, but he's lost an awful lot of time. We're going to go and take a look at what happened. Carlos Bozapoya has actually passed him for P3 overall in that. I think we're safe to take a look now. Morphy ahead in the BMW. He clears him. On the inside on the brakes, and it's just going to be too late on the brakes for Maynard, who glances the wall, but that's not the spin. So is it the tight line into there? And it is. And tags the barrier, but was able to carry on. So went straight in. That's always good for trying to avoid suspension damage. Our race leaders are still going at it. Keeping the pressure on. On board with Quinten Verdonk. Sorry, apologies. Had to go and sort something out. Federico Sata has dropped down to P2. We would have seen it on board. Let's take a look at what happened. We knew the pressure was coming. He'd been struggling through turn 2 for a while. That's not going to be the problem. So is he going to go deep on the brakes into turn 3? Yeah, it is. Just too much speed into turn 3 for Sata. And that is going to cost him the race lead. Wow. Apologies that we missed that one. Go back to live images. Quinten Verdonk now pulling away. And he looked like he was trapped behind Sata. And that is a really big problem for Sata now. Because Quinten Verdonk, with that pace that he seemed to have behind Sata, he's just going to pull away now. Callum Lux still chasing down for P3, but it's hard to pass here on a hypercar. It's definitely going to be hard to pass in a GT3. The Mercedes ahead misses the apex at turn 1, but hooks it right back up for turn 2 to carry much more speed down into turn 3, and that might be the way to go, because that is very similar to what Sata was doing. Brody Maynard just 3 seconds behind Carlos Bozapoya. Will try and take his place back on the podium. But Poya last lap did a 25. Brody's last lap a 22. So at that rate, he will continue to catch him. The problem that Poya is going to have now that he's in GT3 traffic is that it's going to be even harder for him to pass than it is for Brody Maynard. Callum Lux has dropped to dropped back in P4 sorry. Was a little bit closer, and as the gap has grown a tiny bit there. Daniel Morphy still harassing the back of Oyston Hereford. Alex Hotz sets the fastest lap of the race as he continues to extend his lead. Brody Maynard trying to thread the needle through the bulk of the traffic here. Lost out a little bit in turn 1 despite a brilliant move down the straight. And will now put his foot down to clear the Mercedes, the Red Eagle racing car. It's Vincent Ossoms, I believe. It's now on the back of Leon Erger, and has nearly cleared all of the traffic. You go for a move down the inside, no thinks better of it after what happened last time he went for a tight move on a GT3. Sticks behind again, but crucially for him, Poyer ahead is also sticking behind. And Maynard gets his foot down the back straight. This is the best place to clear the traffic. We'll continue to push on. Dave van der Back, by the way, still flying, now taking a second a lap out of the leader. 0.5 out of the leader as the leader's found a little bit more pace now. 5-second time penalty for Diego Palacio for causing a collision. So it's just how difficult it is to pass around here as car in front, Leon Erger, scrapes the barrier. Brady Maynard now finds a gap, but he was sat behind that car for the best part of the lap. Struggling with front grip for Maynard. See how much steering lock he was putting in through turn 1 and turn 2. Just had to keep cranking it on, hoping it was going to come to him, and eventually it did. Jeffrey Ross in P5 sets the fastest lap of the race in GT3 as Callum Lux gets the move done on Vincent Ossoms. Ossoms is coming back at him. No, he can't make it work. Callum with a brave dive down the inside of turn 3. Yes, it stops in time now. Mega move on the brakes there. Now, if this was Maynard trying to lap an LMP2, I would say I don't think it'll be too difficult. I don't think the LMP2 is going to fight him too much. There's no reason for him to in that situation. This is different, because this is an overall podium, like we discussed in qualifying, that Carlos Poyer can fight for here. And an overall podium would be a nice result to take away in an LMP2. There's 7 cars in today's GTP race, but Mark Frederick is of course out of the race. You know, this is exactly what he will want, an overall podium to show for it. He'll have been disappointed there was only 2 cars in his class today, we're missing a fair few of them. But he's potentially looking overall podium here, and you know he's going to fight for it. He's 50 seconds ahead of Ben Groneveld, who is just trying to survive this one and take home a handful of points over the rest of his rivals. Probably knew it was going to be difficult to beat Poyer. Of course, the 8K rated LMP2 driver that is Carlos Poyer. Massive pace, has done all season, and Brady Maynard now closing in on him. Straight line speed is going to be his best bet, of course. And the slow acceleration of the LMP2 will help him out a lot. But it's just going to be difficult to find a gap, I fear, for Brady Maynard. Brakes on the LMP2 aren't bad as well. A lot less prone to lockups than the GTP cars are. Gotta imagine Carlos is going to fight for it. I don't think this is going to be an easy move for Maynard when he finally catches up to the back of the car ahead. It has got pace, the LMP2, especially now it's in clean air. It's much more, even on pace with the leader, actually. Jeffrey Ross is harassing the back of Vincent Ossoms. He's fallen off the back of Callum Lux now. I think the Mercedes struggling with the tyres out there a little bit. Federico Starter has had another incident. Let's take a look what happened. Down into turn 3 it's going to be again for Sarta. It's for 2x this time though. I think he's going to lose a rear, is he? No, just front left. We saw him do that in practice on a different tyre barrier and carry on. I think that is what he's going to try and do this time as well. The slow Vincent Ossoms allowed Daniel Morphy to catch up to the back of Ross, who goes for an absolute dive bomb and gets it done. Got Raymond Denete behind, trying to get a through on these guys as well. He's now got his teammate Daniel Morphy directly behind him. He's dropped from 3rd down to 5th, and will be third down to 5th, and he's looking like it's going to be 6th pretty soon. What's going on for Vincent Ossoms in that AMG? Daniel Morphy getting the move done on the brakes down the inside. Don't think his teammate was going to fight that one too much, you'd have to say. Previous lap times, by the way, Brady Maynard just 1/10 quicker than Carlos Bozapoya, but has got Dave van der Vacker closing in very quickly behind now. Alex Ott to the pit lane from the lead in GT3 Pro. Made it 25 minutes. I think we'll see some people try and go for half race distance if at all possible, because it's so difficult to pass around here. It really, really could be the play, even if you have to do some big saving towards the end of the race. When you've got track position, it's definitely a shout. I think we'll see it. We've seen it done around here before, I believe. Albert Preem now in that DLR, white and blue. Not seen that one before. Albert Preem making the switch to GT3 for this round. White and blue DLR Aston Martin. It's brilliant, as he's now chasing down Vincent Ossoms ahead. No overtakers to the pit lane this time round, by the way. Just Alex Ott. Interesting to see. A couple of drivers further back making that jump, but no one in the sort of lead pack of Pro making that jump. I do wonder if perhaps Vincent Ossoms not struggling with the tyres and in fact is going for the one stop, and that's why he's dropping back a little bit now, because he's just making sure that he can make it. Ross asking some contact to be looked at there. More cars into the pit lane. One of them is Daniel Morphy, one of them is Albert Preem. And continues on. What's the lap time in a GT3? It's about 1 minute 27. Leon Egger carrying on, as is Vincent Ossoms, who we said he might be carrying on, didn't we? As he's now trying to lap Ivan Veska. Oysten Hereford also carrying on. Let's see who can go one more lap after this, and that'll be enough to get you to half race distance. And you go one lap short of half race distance. An interesting challenge. Then it means you've got to go 2 laps longer than your first stint and your second stint. It is possible, of course, if you have the track position at the end, you can just coast through all of the corners around here and just gas it down the straights. Absolutely something that I think we'll see some cars do. GTP, interestingly, still going out there as well. So are those guys going to make it on just one more stop? You perhaps think that Dave van der Vacker and Raymond Denete, who've been into the pit lane for that emergency pit stop, maybe they, and Davide Aceta as well, of course, maybe they can make it on one more stop. Especially Raymond Denete and Dave van der Vacker, because they drove round to the pit lane. So they did that first lap on their current tank. Leon Egger is in 28 minutes and 40 seconds. So he's about 1 minute 20 short of half race distance. So let's see what he can do. Vincent Ossoms, though, carries on. We called it. Ossoms on the one stop here, and might have played a blinder on the rest of the field. Apart from Oysten Hereford, he's going to do exactly the same thing and push on and try and do the one stop. All of our GTP cars, by the way, I think are probably on the one stop here. Yeah, it will be a one stop for Quinton. And for Federico. Brady Maynard has lost the position to Dave van der Wacker, by the way. While we were following the pit stop chaos, this is what happened. Oh, lock up for Maynard. Avoids the barrier, but cost him the podium place. Raphael Heck, Vincent van der Moelenbroek are really going at it here towards the back end of GT3 as these guys are into the pit lane. Two of them are. Raphael Heck still going because he's already made his pit stop. Brady Maynard into the pit lane. Wow, earlier stop for Maynard. He's going to have to save in the second stint. Does just make half race distance, but it's going to be tight depending on when the leader takes for checkered. Vincent Ossoms goes again. Wow, Vincent Ossoms take a bow. Oyston Hereford's in. He thinks I've done the 30 minutes. That's enough for me. Let's go to the end. Vincent Ossoms, though, is going to carry on and do another one. Federico Sarter into the pit lane. Quinton Verdonk has carried on. Brady Maynard is technically now being lapped by Quinton Verdonk, who is yet to pit. And Vincent Ossom sits just behind him. He's doing a mega job out there. And look at what pit lane time was for Alex Ott, who lost 35 seconds in the pit lane. So Vincent Ossoms is a net 15 seconds right now behind our net race leader of Alex Ott. But he's only going to make, they've got to make the same number of stops in the race. So he's actually 20 seconds ahead of Alex Ott right now as they run. Bar the fact that he will have to run a little bit slower to save fuel in the second half of this race. But Vincent Ossoms, who looked like he was really struggling and tumbled a little bit like a stone in water down the timing tower in the sort of second phase of this race after we got through all of the chaos at the start, continued to push on. Raymond Denit is in the pit stop, as is Davey, as is Carlos Bozapoya, as is Quinton Verdonk. As is now Vincent Ossoms finally comes in after 31 minutes and 43 seconds to complete his first and only expected stop of the race. Quinton Verdonk in now as well, flashes his lights. No tyres for Verdonk, just fuel. Callum Lux just 4 attempts off the back of Leon Erger. Some position shuffling having gone on in his GT3 field during the pit stop cycle. Vincent Ossoms comes out down in P7, by the way. Just show you our gaps to our leaders. You can see that one. Yeah. There we go, that's our gap to the leaders. Apologies for confusion there. So he's 11 seconds off the back of Alex Ott. Wow. Was his pit stop shorter? 40 seconds in the pit lane. This is 35 for Alex Ott, so a longer pit lane time, but I suppose it is 40 seconds in the pit lane, but you cut out a bit of turn one's braking, so it's not as much time lost. But wow, just 10 seconds behind and one pit stop less to go. Vincent Ossoms is looking in a 17 seconds behind. That's now updated. Apologies. Vincent Ossoms out looking in a mega position to have a brilliant result today by doing the one stop. So let's see how that plays out. So our leader threading his way through our lead GT3 traffic as both of the Aston Martins scrape the barrier through turn 13. Settling down for this middle phase of the race a little bit. Still under threat from ahead. Sorry, from behind, I should say, for Callum Lux, who is no longer pressuring Leon Erger and is feeling the pressure from Daniel Morphy. A man who is always seemingly able to have a good race. Always calm, always incident light, let's say, for Daniel Morphy. And he just does what he needs to do to move himself up the order, to move himself into a position to score some big points. And that's what he needs. Championship leader, remember. I believe, anyway. That's my memory failing me. And no, it's not. Championship leader Jeffrey Ross currently runs in P2, so more people want to try and gain a few positions to close up that gap to him a little bit. Vincent Ossoms as well, his teammate, sits in P3 on the timing, on the standings, that is, sorry, and down in P7 at the moment. Potentially he's going to come away with a win here after the pit stop cycle is complete. Obviously we can't say that until it's done. Still a long way to go. We said Quinton had the pace bottled up behind Osata, and he continues to prove so. Davy van der Vacker now just 22 seconds behind Osata. Still with the pace to get him in about 11 laps. Will be well within time to get to the end of the race. If he continues to have the pace advantage that he has on our race leader, he might even get close by the end. Oh, tagging the barrier behind. That's Albert Preem, who currently is in P6. Not picked up a meatball flag, has seemingly gotten away with it. Luca Picardi, though, has had a moment. What has happened to Luca? Driver for DSP Esports Racing Team. Deep on the brakes, we've seen this so many times. And nicely done from Picardi there to keep the car from actually colliding with the wall and sustaining any serious damage. Kevin Versanvort has made a move on Oyston Hereford. It was for P8 in GT3 Pro, and easily done move, and that's because Oyston is also on that one stop, going to stretch out the fuel tank. Vincent van der Moelenbroek out on Team and Scholten. DLR on DLR wide ahead for Team and Scholten. That just opened up the gap for van der Moelenbroek to find a gap. Down the inside, move ahead of his teammate. These two Pro car, I suppose, trying to pass an AM car. Ivan Vesker on Team and Scholten earlier on in the race. There's Scholten went straight on. Scholten struggling around here today. And the Brooker has made his second stop of the race. She's showing 3 pit stops, but I believe he was caught up in some lap 1 damage. Daniel Morphy still pushing the car in front, trying to force a mistake onto Callum Lux. Doesn't seem to have the pace to get ahead of him just like that. Raphael Heck also into the pit lane. But another stop to get to the end of the race. That's a surprise to see. David van der Vack will be looking to close back up on Quinton Bedonk. This could have championship implications in GTP if they were to finish this way round. Quinton Bedonk currently sits in second behind Davey. Remember, Davey has already used his drop round essentially with that 0-point scorer. So this result today, I believe, would swap those cars around in the standings. GT3 Pro, like we said, Daniel Morphy currently leads. He'll be wanting to close up that gap a little bit, try and bring himself back onto terms, especially with his teammate doing the 1 stop behind. He'll be kicking himself for not trying to do that himself. Perhaps more difficult in the BMW, though. We don't know what the fuel consumption is like in the different cars that much. Ivan Veska leads in GT3M, currently in P3 overall, and has been struggling a little bit today. Luca Picardi behind, just 4 points behind in the standings, with a much better drop round than Vesga as well. So this won't become a drop round for Vesga because his drop round he only scored 25 points in. That was Silverstone. So yeah, not great race at Silverstone for Vesga, and that's going to cost him today because with the way the race is unfolding right now, Luca Picardi is going to come home with a whole heap of points in GT3M. That's going to propel him to the top of the standings. 17 and 3/4 minutes to go in today's race. Callum Lux keeps scraping the barriers in his Aston Martin, but keeps getting away with it. More pit stops at the back of the field. Alessandro Vici this time by. Take you back to the start of the race. This is what happened on the original start in GTP, and this is where we've got several cars towards the back, having to have made emergency pit stops. Davide Aceto, as he put his foot down from the lead, clobbered the barrier. Everyone behind caught up in it. Quinton Bedonk able to sneak through. Sartor and Maynard just far enough behind that they could get away with it. And that is why, despite starting on pole, Davide Aceto runs in P6. He had to tow. Some of our others were able to drive round with severely damaged cars, but not cause any problems to the classes behind and drive around to get back to the pit lane, which meant they lost a lot less time than the drivers they were fighting. Carlos Bozapoya with some serious pace right now. He's threatening Brody Maynard. It looks like he's starting to struggle on those GTP tyres. Bad at the start of the stint because they're cold. Bad at the end of the stint because they're too worn. You get about 2 good laps out of them in the middle of the stint, and that's about it. Now stuck behind Vincent Ossoms, probably one of the worst GT3s to be stuck behind because he's not pushing at all. Just trying to stretch out his fuel tank. Dave Van Eck is still closing on the back of Oyston Hereford. That gap is coming down. Remember, Oyston also on that one stop, so he's just trying to stretch his tank as well. Rosa Poyer just absolutely pushing. Trying to keep Maynard under pressure. The gap between Davey and Sartor continues to come down. Quinton has found a bit more of a groove and he's matching the pace of Davey van der Wacker. Really help him maintain this lead. He's 30 seconds ahead. It's a big gap to close in 15 minutes. About 10 laps to go. And this is really heating up now because Carlos thinks he has the pace to move up to P4 overall. And Brody thinks, I don't want to punt a GT3 out of the way. Carlos thinks, I just want to put you under pressure and force a mistake. That's what he's going to try and do because down the straights the Porsche just pulls away as you would expect. Hybrid power, bigger engine in the LMH kicking in. The lightness of the LMP2 really helping around here. It's got a lot of front grip. He weaves to show his nose. Be enjoying this one, the 8K Spaniard, lap ahead of his only rival in this race. And Alex Ott and Jeffrey Ross into the pit lane for their stops. Preem carries on. Morphy also in for his final splash of the race. All of his drivers choosing the same lap. Where does Vincent Ossoms come out? And it's going to be ahead of them, crucially, as we would have expected. And it's going to be a long way ahead. And he's going to be able to save a little bit more fuel now before these guys pack up to the back of him. Challenge for Vincent now is to save enough fuel through the corners that he can still gas it down the straights to stay ahead. All looks good from Ossoms, looks controlled, looks smooth. That's how he's got to be if he wants to make this strategy work. It's currently about 9 or 10 seconds off of Leon Erger, but we expect all cars ahead of him to have to make an additional stop in this race compared to him. It's currently 7 seconds clear, there or thereabouts, of Alex Ott, who has made his second stop already. He's approaching rapidly, but just 11.5 minutes to go. About 1 minute 30 a lap. Going to be hard for Alex Ott here. Get a better read next lap of how much he's taking out of him. If we can put our sector times up for you. There's a way to do that. It'll just take me a while to remember. There we go. That's what we want. Alex Ott slightly quicker in sector 1. Awesome's quicker in sector 2. Remember, there's traffic to take into account here. It's an 18.2 for Awesome's in sector 3. And it's 3 temps nearly off of that for Ott in sector 3. But Awesome's doing what he needs to do right now. In Sector 5, Ott also slower, despite being marginally quicker in Sector 4. Preem to the pit lane for his stop. Just Luxembourger left to stop in GC3 Pro now. Andy, our race director, has just briefly joined the call.
Hello.
There he is. What's going on?
It's more exciting.
Would I like something to be more exciting?
Would you like the race to be more exciting?
I would like the race to be more exciting at the moment. We had all of the chaos.
It's been a
in the opening
surprisingly
few
calm
laps.
race so far. We haven't had any crashes since lap 1.
Oh, don't go and say that. We've had a couple of people in some runoffs, but no big incidents, yeah.
Exactly.
We'll see what happens in these closing stages of the race. It's definitely going to get spicy if Ott catches the back of Ossoms. Ossoms on the 1 stop. Ott, having made his 2nd stop, now seems to have found a little bit more pace so far this lap. Is closing up. It's going to be exciting when they all start to catch Ossoms. Quinton Verdon.
Lux and Ergo are also on 1 stops, are they?
They are just yet to pit, I believe, unless they are going to try and stretch it out. They pitted later. Ott was kind of committed after he pitted after about 25 minutes. Leon and Callum were about a lap short of half race distance, but they might have seen what Ossoms has done and are just trying to stretch it out now. I guess we'll have to see.
Okay.
Be interesting. Yeah, big championship implications if Ossoms is able to win as well, because he currently sits in P3, but this will be a big point swing for him versus his teammate Daniel Morphy. Currently leads. What's the race being like in the stewarding booth? I guess fairly calm other than lap 1.
Yeah, reasonably calm, yeah.
Is what we want to see. This is, for anyone watching, the man that always interrupts us during the warm-up period, as we're normally going through our qualifying results. Ott finding pace this lap. 1.4 tenths in Sector 1. 200ths in Sector 2. Goodbye to Andy. 500ths down, though, in Sector 3. Sarta briefly on the radio. I think anything has happened to Sarta. There's not. This was Dave Van Eck, who was eventually able to get past Oyster and Hereford. It would take him a while. A couple of minutes ago. Got it done. Eventually is Oyston trying to save fuel as well. And this is Oyston getting past of Albert Preem on pit exit. He's done what he needed to do, but he's now going to have to try and hang on to that position with Albert coming at him with some serious speed behind, you would expect. So overall, that last lap, not enough taken out of him. We can now put our lap differences up. Between the two of them, ignore 31 and 32 as they slide off. That was pit stop cycle. It's incredibly close over the last 2 laps. Once the tyres were up to temperature and Ott was in more of a groove. Ivan Veska briefly off the road. Carried on alright there. Let's take a look what happened. I think he's just going to go a little bit deep and run over the grass. Yes, he does. Avoids the wall crucially. Alessandro Vici harassing the back of Tiemann Scholten in the AM car. What can he do? He tries to find a gap around the outside. That's not going to end well if he sticks his nose in there and he thinks better of it. Leon Erger and Callum Lux have had to make their pit stops this lap, by the way, which promotes Ossoms to the lead. Vichy desperate for a move here. Davy van der Wacker now as well has closed right up to the back of Federico Sarta. Acker trying to find a way through. As we always say, catching is one thing, passing is another. He's going to need to try and find an ambitious way by. We've seen how difficult it is to pass without a mistake from the car ahead. Jeffrey Ross and Callum Lux incredibly close after the end of their pit cycle. And Jeffrey Ross has jumped Callum Lux, it looks like. Leon Erger still ahead of him, though. Going to get spicy between these three. We're going to lead, sorry, not a lead change. Oh, and Quinton Verdonk. Well, he was missing his bumper for a second, but it's back now. Was that a bump to pass, maybe? Let's have a look. Trying to work out what's happened here. Down the inside. Contact at the apex. Further contact there, and then they've carried on. So we'll see what race control think of that. Kind of hard to tell from that section. It didn't look like Quinton Verdonk went particularly deep, actually. It kind of looked like he was pinched a little bit. Callum Lux pressuring the back of Jeffrey Ross here. Vincent Ossum still leads by 6.5 seconds, by the way. The pace is not bad in the Mercedes. He clearly saved enough fuel earlier on to be able to push a little bit more. Remember, he went a bit past half race distance, and the advantage he has of being in the lead now is he can dictate the pace a little bit within his own class, depending on where the leader is and depending on where he wants to be behind him. I'm just going to try and work that out for you. A race leader is crossing the line now. And what's happened to Davey? Davey off again! And Sata is back through. I told Andy not to say it. He's jinxed us. And what has happened here to Federico, to Davey van der Acker, to lose that P2, been fighting for all day, and he's picked up a meatball flag. And he's going to have to come in and repair that. But can he go to the end of the race? 3 minutes left. I think he's going to try and go to the end of the race with the meatball. Surely that's what he'll do. See if he pits. I think he'll try and go to the end of the race. No, he's going to have to pit. The damage is too much. Remember, you can carry that penalty for 3 laps, and that's going to potentially promote Bernie Maynard back to the podium after all of that. And crucially, for Carlos Bozapoya, who was unable to get past Maynard in that period where he pressured him, that's going to cost him an overall podium if he can't get through on Maynard now. Raymond Denis has also had a poor moment towards the end of this race. What's happened to this BMW driver? Going to be deep in turn 3, surely. Does he go down the runoff or does he make it into the tyre barrier? No, crucially goes down the runoff and gets it rotated nicely to avoid any damage. That was critical for his race. Brody Maynard retakes P3. Switched round a little bit in GT3. Now Jeffrey Ross pressuring Leon Erger, and Callum looks slightly beginning to fall away a little bit from these two. Oh, we've got more incidents, and Brody Maynard has found the wall. And that has let Carlos Bozapoya through to P3 overall. What happened to Maynard? Doesn't matter for points for Maynard, but it matters for pride for Carlos Bozapoya. Oh, clubbers the barrier deep. Seems to have mostly gotten away with it. Five-second time penalty for Davey van der Acker for that move where he made contact with Federico Sata. Not that it'll make a difference now to anybody's race. Davide Aceto pressuring the struggling Denit now. Pole sitter looking to salvage a bit of pride here. Ossums is pulling away from up, by the way, so Ossums has absolutely nailed this strategy today. It's not worked quite as well for Oysten Hereford, who's down in PA. With his teammate Daniel Morphy down in P6, this is a big swing in the championship in points for Vincent Ossums, who may even take the championship lead after today's event. I think we're going to have checkered flag here. Quinton Verdonk towing along Raymond Denny here to help him stay ahead of Davide Aceto. And Raymond Denny is going to slide through on the Mercedes, and that's going to really help him by. We're expecting checkered flag this time by. Quinton Verdonk started in P2. Went round the outside of the leader as he spun out. Was it one of the few to scrape by? Did a mega job from there on out. Lost the lead on lap 1 to Federico Sarta. Was then able to get back through later on. Comes to the checkered flag and he lifted off a little bit early. And Federico Sarta, was that he's going to do? No, everyone took the checkered flag. Davide Aceto did not take the checkered flag. Davide Aceto did not take the checkered flag because of that. Raymond Denny did though, so is that Davide Aceto just needs to drag this back? No one can actually overtake him. As far as I am aware, Brody Maynard will take P3, he's just got to drag that back. Carlos Boza Poya though, take a bow, it's P3 overall. He's flashing the lights, he knows it's done. There's no more work to do. What a race from him. Luca Picardi as well, flawless all day to come home in P2. In P1 in AM, ahead of Diego Palcho Rodriguez. Also brilliant performance from him. We didn't talk much about these two because they didn't really have any problems all day. And that's exactly what you want. Vincent Ossoms will win, which is exactly what he wants. Davide Aceto and Raymond Denny are both towed. I don't know if they've run out of fuel because of having to do that extra lap there. But Vincent Ossoms, I mean, wow. The man did a mega job on fuel. He's now run out of fuel and he's been pushed back along by his rival who finished just behind him. And the bump star's got him going. He's trying to do some drifts and he's found the barrier as you would expect at that point. We get a little GT3 party on the straight down into turn 3. Carlos Boza Poya, then your race winner in LMP2, but overall podium sitter in LMP2 behind the two GTPs.
Let's go.
It's a mega result. He'll be very pleased with that. Ben Groneveld will be pleased to have had such a clean race. Just 2 incident points for Ben Groneveld today to come home. Well, his second but last on the road, obviously, in LMP2, but that does not matter for points, and that's a big, big number of points to put in his book, and everybody else will have taken a big drop down penalty, a big drop round loss there, because that'll become their 0 points round. Only for them. Just trying to work out exactly what happened to Davide Aceto. Guess we'll never know. Well, it's going to be around here actually. So race leader ahead, who is slowing down, and that's just caused a massive sandwich. He's then let Davide Aceto get through, and he's just carried too much speed into turn 1, probably thinking he's taking the checkered flag, not having realised, having overtaken the leader, that that is in fact not the checkered flag. Appears to be what has happened there. That is a big, big surprise. Brody's back! Mr. Maynard.
I made it.
P3 in the end.
Yeah,
I mean, cannot complain about that, surely.
I am absolutely shocked. Obviously, the big pile-up right at the start of the race helped, I thought.
Yeah, probably.
But, yeah, that was kind of a boring race from my side. But
well, kept it out of the barrier, though, crucially. I mean, even all those other people that... I mean, I know you had one little touch towards the end of the race, but you didn't have any big damage. Pretty much everybody else, apart from... No, actually everybody else that was involved in that start incident had further contact later on in the race, which cost them. So I think you did a pretty good job, all things considered, really.
I did, yeah. I kind of messed up what I was thinking at the end. I was hoping I was trying to judge it so Quinton would lap me at the line, so I didn't have to probably complete the slowest lap in ASR history. But I made it on Vapors.
Nice, luckily. Well done. That's all we need.
But yeah, P3, I'm very happy with that.
Congratulations, yeah, good result. So Quinton Verdonk was, of course, your race winner, as we just discussed. Federico Sata came home in second place ahead of Brody Maynard and Davide Oceto and Raymond Denis, who didn't technically take the checkered flag, so I think Race Control had to have a look at that. David van der Wacker in P6, having earned that unfortunate penalty, well, not a penalty, a meatball flag towards the end of the race. LMP2 is going to be quick, but we'll run you through it. Carlos Apoya P1 ahead of Ben Gronevel, but that Poya, the main highlight there is he's on the overall podium, don't forget. Is a great result for him. GT3 Pro, Vincent Ossam's your race winner ahead of Alex Ott, Leon Erger, Jeffrey Ross, Callum Lux, Daniel Morphy, Albert Prim, Oysten Hefford, Kevin de Sandvoort, Dave Van Eyck, Raphael Heck, Vincent van der Meulenbroek, and Nicole Monti and Alessandro Vici. And it's not round 3, but don't let Andy know because he's going to get very annoyed at me. Ends up very quickly. Round 5, no one saw anything. Let's do that really quickly. And big shout out as well to Vincent Ossums because he did that on the one stop and still stretched it out at the end of a race. So that was mega performance there for Vincent Ossums towards the end of the race. GT3 Am, Luca Picardi was your race winner ahead of Diego Palcho Rodriguez and Pete Preens, Ivan Bezga, Mick Say and Tiemann Scholten. Pretty clean race from the Ams. No real issues for any of them, apart from maybe a couple of knocks in that opening lap that we saw. But brilliant pace from these guys and just keeping it clean. And that's what the whole point of the Am class is, gaining experience. And yeah, brilliant results for them. Okay, I'm just trying to pull up my calendar, as I always end up doing too late every week. Yeah, as I suspected, we've got a break week next week before our triple header to finish off the season. So good luck to all of our drivers who are competing in the Suzuka 1000. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you all next time.
I don't have the words to tell